Sometimes you do a run and after doing the recording you see some things have gone wrong. While this has of course never happened to me, there are some parts where I had to re-record the gameplay because of corrupted footage. It's okay, I definitely didn't cheat and die while doing so. I'm working on beating the game with every set. So far it has been going swimmingly. With about half done, I have been wanting to up the completion speed by wearing 2 sets at the same time. The first set I'm going to use is the Haarus set. This is a level 3 set that is actually wearable on level 3. It consists of a belt that gives 20 life, 20 cold resist and defense per level for the set bonus. The shield grants you 10 strength and 2 damage reduction and the same defense per level bonus. The socket isn't normally in it, that is just a leftover from me using the set in the low level set farming competition I did with Zarfin the Loot Goblin. The boots are a solo self-found run staple, 20 faster run walk and 25 fire resist are amazing, and the Haarus combo is something every melee character is looking for because of the attack rating per level. The full set bonus is nothing to scoff at either. 5 max damage is pretty whatever, but 25% lightning resist is nice to have. The big thing here though is the cannot be frozen. This is a mod that is extremely rare to get and on its own makes this set go from great to greater. It's unfortunate that the shield is a shield and not gloves or a ring. Otherwise, this would be one of the best SSF sets in the game. Taking up a shield slot is a very big nerf though, cause it means you're wearing a shield without plus skills or real resistances. With the full set equipped, I've also managed to snag some gold along the way, which I used to buy a scepter, cause those deal the most damage this early in the game. If you're ever doing a melee character early game, just buy a scepter from Akara. I know it's a lot of info all at once, but on level 6 we reach the skill I'll be using for normal. Holy Fire needs no introduction. This pings enemies around you with fire damage and adds fire damage to your attack. This is the skill I recommend everyone to use on their first melee paladin to get started before they go into whatever skill they want in the game. And you've seen me use this on tons of paladin videos. It's good, it's amazing, it's fire, is all the holy words I can say about it. In the underground passage I slap some monsters around and a 2-socket quilted armor ends up dropping. We all know what I'm going to do with it, so I'll just stealth around that explanation for now. 3-Head Woodfist is a great showcase of just how strong Holy Fire is for the early game, because I casually beat him and his friends to death on players 8 without any questions asked. I also know a great magic trick. I can make a Rakanishu disappear. During my walk through the town of Tristram, I clean out some night clans. They are cold enchanted, but for once. After taking a frozen Nova isn't followed up by moving as if your character is stuck in mud. Truly 10 huzzas for cannot be frozen in the early game. After reaching the countess and receiving my first Tal rune, I decide that more gear is always welcome, so I put 2 chipped topaz in a cap for some magic find. The second and last countess run gives me a full stealth rune word and a Ral and that rune to spare. Stealth, faster run walk, faster hit recovery, poison resist. I've explained this a million times. This armor is broken as shit and has been used to kill Hellbale many times over. Channeling my inner Neo, I deal with Smith, but instead of giving the Horadric Malice to Akara, I decide to tell her that I couldn't find it so I can use it for myself. If you've never seen a fire-based character fight Duriel, don't blink or you'll miss it. In Act 2, a rare Falchion drops to the floor while I'm picking up the cube. This turns out to be Brimstone Thirst, and because I am always thirsty, I'll happily equip this for the 9 to 22 damage, resistances and 2 open slots. The first time things get a bit tight is when I get surrounded in the Arcane Sanctuary by a lightning enchanted ghost and his friends, but between the Haarus and me, they are the only buried ones. I don't have teleport this time around, so it's taking me a couple of tries to get through the entire sanctuary and find the exit, cause that's just the natural state of things. As a thank you for having to do extra work to reach the same destination, I beat the summoner to death. Things almost get close in the Tal Rasha's tomb, but then Holy Fire pops off and everything dies. One guy that never fails to disappoint in the hitting like a truck department is Duriel. Despite having cannot be frozen and a brick ton of damage, the demon manages to swing right back at me, even chilling me with his Holy Freeze aura. He ends up taking round 1 when I have to leave the arena with a town portal, but it's a good thing I'm completely devoid of morals and can go to Lysander to stock up on some serious juice. It's not like I have to get tested or anything, so I slurp all of the thawing pots straight down. Each one of these gives me 30 seconds extra duration, which is why I usually only drink the one, but a couple minutes of having 50% extra cold resist is a great way to stem Duriel's might just a bit. In the second round of the fight, the difference is obvious. I'm barely taking any damage anymore. Who knew you would be stronger if you just chug a ton of weird looking substances? They should try this in sports or something. With the demon down for the count, a rare ring, a full helm and a unique bardiche fall to the floor. Before leaving the act, I decide to hire Haseen. The helm has a chance to cast Frost Nova, which is great for controlling small crowds. The Bardish is Dim Oak's Hue, which has a bit of damage and some increased attack speed. It's a low level weapon, but it'll do fine for now. The rare ring, you ask? Well, I kind of forgot about it. In Act 3, a magic ring drops to the floor. It turns out to have a whopping 119 attack rating. This is a massive pile of every melee character most needed stat, so I'll happily wear it. In the spider cavern, I quickly nabbed the Kalim's eye, or, well, I thought I did that. All I can say is I'm at the top of my game tonight. Next up, I grabbed the Git bin. The Flayer dungeon level 3 comes with the first fire enchanted, but between me and Haseen he isn't too much of a problem. While I still haven't realized I didn't check the rare ring from Duriel, I do check out the rare ring from the quest rewards. 21% fire and 16% poison resist. Don't mind if I do. While walking away from Ormus again, I finally realize I still have another ring. The Duriel ring turns out to be the best one of the bunch with 21% fire resist, 61 attack rating and a mana after kill, which isn't super necessary, but is a great quality of life upgrade. Battlemate Sareen drops a rare breastplate. It turns out to have 10 life and 20% fire resist, a perfect gift for Haseen. The sewers level 1 are filled with dolls, but thanks to the holy fire aura pinging them every second, I can just run away bravely while waiting for them to go down. The one thing you don't want to see during the sewers is a unique chest, cause this means that you've gone the wrong way and the entrance to level 2 is as far away as it can possibly be. Which chest, you ask? Well, that one right there. While working my way through the worst sewers map I have seen in a long time, I encountered Deatheye, but when Haseen takes him down, Deadeye sees no future. Having effectively cleared the entire sewers level 1 area, I finally find the entrance to level 2. It's guarded by a couple of bats, but they aren't much of a threat. The Council of Travancore, however, definitely is. Haseen goes down in a couple of seconds, but I need to run back to town as well to regroup. When I get back, it turns out the Council are fans of horror movies, cause they have decided to split up for no reason while someone is trying to kill them. They end up trying to regroup, but the damage is done and I claim the flail. Now all I need to do is to get back to the spider cavern apparently, cause I didn't pick up the eye. Good thing it isn't on the other side of the act or anything. This totally wasn't really annoying. With Travancore's ball smashed, the Durance thanks me for my troubles by sending a house full of dolls as a present. It's a good thing I have Haseen on the squad, cause he is able to tank them in the doorway and deal with them. And for those wondering, I am actually helping this time. The holy fire aura ticks on after all, so I'm not being completely useless, just less useful. A champion Bloodlord drops yet another rare ring. This one at first glance looks impressive, but once you start reading, none of the mods really matter except for the attack rating. I'm not using it though, this ring would be a big downgrade from the ones I'm using. Except for the part where Mephisto almost kills me with a couple of bolts, the fight goes well enough, which pleases me, cause I know from very unfortunate experience that if you're struggling in normal, nightmare and hell tend to be quite aptly named, but so far so good. Also, I would say, if the next part wasn't reconstructed footage, Act 4 Normal was the first act I lost to a bunch of my files being corrupted. I've talked about this before, but I'm working through old recordings and not all of them apparently have stood the test of time. So imagine my surprise when I tried using this footage only to get met by an error message telling me to go sucker shit sandwich. Fortunately, if there is one thing I'm good at, it's lying my ass off and gaslighting the fuck out of you, the viewer. Don't worry too much about it. I only gaslight you because I love you and appreciate you watching. By the way, are you subscribed yet? Just click the button. It's for your own good. Stop worrying. I'm only trying to do what's best for you. Anyway, we find ourselves in Act 4, where I find a rare chainmail that turns out to be Death Flange. This armor has 59 life and cold resist. Hero Editor wouldn't let me edit the color, but this thing is actually red from the extra life mod. This is a lot of life, so I'm going to use it over the stealth. I also cleared out the Hellforge, which strangely went much easier than I'm used to. It probably has to do with the fact that I hero edited a level 75 Paladin to redo the footage instead of a level 25 one. Don't tell anyone though, we all know what happens to snitches. The game gaslights me right back by dropping the best rune you can possibly find here right next to the forge. An Am rune is highly sought after every single run, cause it gets you a strength if you are a melee character or a spirit if you're a caster. At the end of Act 4, Diablo never knew what hit him. Which brings us to Act 5, where I actually get to use my real footage again. And all kidding aside, my apologies for doing it like this, but I didn't feel like re-recording the entire run because of 3 files being corrupted. All I'm hoping for at this point is that it hasn't happened on more of my old footage. but I'll obviously be transparent every time I had to recreate footage. Or I won't be and just lie. Depends on my mood. But for now, don't be paranoid and just assume I'll tell you. Being able to get back to my real footage, I can now show you the death flange I found in all its glory while being equipped by Jamali, who I'll introduce you to later on in the video. For now though, I'm still wearing it myself, which is why my Paladin is looking like a cosplay of that time of the month where chocolate is never on sale enough. At this point of the game, Holy Fire is so strong it's decimating entire fields and having the same effects of tossing Agent Orange on Shank and his friends. And after this baptism of fire, I will remember the Fallen when I use my socket quest later on in the video. Having dealt with the first quest of Act 5, it turns out that I have maxed Holy Fire. It's now dealing 317 to 430 extra damage per attack and pinging for 52 to 142. But that can be much higher thanks to its synergies. First up, I'm moving into Resist Fire, cause that gives 21% fire damage per level, which is more than the 10% I would be getting from Salvation, cause of maths and such. Before I get into Nightmare, I want some extra levels. To get them, I decide to cancel Eldritch's subscription on live a bunch of times. While doing this, he ends up dropping a pair of rare Demon Hide gloves that have 12 gold, 6 lightning and 22 fire resist. They also have a small bit of magic find, which is always welcome. One of the best things to do with the offensive Holy Auras from the Paladin is to swing with them as much as you can to trigger the extra fire damage as much as possible. To achieve this goal, I decide to make a steel rune word in a saber for the 25% increased attack speed. Along the way, I also decided to upgrade my helm after having found a mechanic circlet of the Sentinel. I thought it had 2 sockets, but it turned out to have only 1, so while a temporary upgrade, it's still an upgrade. To help out the locals, I decide to ask Frozenstein about the girl he has hidden away in the ice. As a respectful thank you for my troubles, Mala decided that me picking up the potion from the floor like a swine is the best way to go about things. Oh well, if it's her next time, I'll just let her turn into a lollipop. For once, I'm happy that the gift Anya gives me for saving her isn't that good, cause I wouldn't be able to use it anyway with the whole Haarus set theme going on. The rest of Act 5 is just a matter of running up that road, running up that hill and running up that building until I reach the Ancients. Telek ends up giving it the old college spin, but the other two don't even pretend to be a hard fight. Man, it's good to be a paladin sometimes. The good times keep on going while I work my way through the Worldstone Keep. Nothing in it can stand in my way, but just as quickly as they came, the good times can go away again. I get taught this life lesson when a bunch of Deathlords comes in swinging. It's a good thing that I'm a paladin, so my actions don't have consequences, because that could have been very dangerous. The fire immune Colenso is dealt with by stabbing and slicing him a couple of times. The next 3 waves aren't much of a problem. But then there was Lister and his cronies. These monsters have a ton of fire resistance and hit like a Duriel. There are a couple of very close calls during the fight, but in the end, with the help of Hasim, we managed to take them down. It's a very bad sign though that things are getting this tight already. Baal has a life total, and for my next trick, I am going to not make him have one of those. So yeah, the entire fight was just me doing left click on Baal until he died. He has me regretting not doing this challenge on an Amazon though, cause he drops basically a full Zon gear setup. The first thing he dropped was a set of Haarus boots, and while they don't look it, these are an upgrade to our current set, cause they have 3 more durability left, which will save me $5 on repairs. A massive break for our gold reserves for the rest of the run. The rare belt would be a massive upgrade over the Haarus belt we are using. Dual resists and life is a great find, but it's a set themed run, so I can't use it. Also, a lesser video editor would say. I, however, can just go ahead and change the color of the belt to the correct one and no one can ever tell. The Almost Titan's Revenge isn't anything too special, but would still easily clear the game on a zone. Java zones can clear the game with plain white javelins after all. Before heading into Nightmare, it's time to wrap things up in normal. The first on my checklist of doom is Radamant, who swiftly falls to the Holy Fire. Next up is running through the den of evil like a hot Roomba, picking up all the trash off the floor and leaving nothing in its wake. I went ahead and saved the barbs as well, but before even getting to them I picked up an Ice Blink for Hassin, allowing him to freeze targets for some more crowd control. The saving of the barbs themselves was just a matter of walking up to them and letting the Holy Fire do its thing. I did pick up a Shale rune while I was at it. I like finding runes like these that normally come from the Nightmare counters early, saves me a potential ton of farming later on. The last thing I did was grab an upgraded Haarus iron stave from my stash. Just like the shield, it's the one I used in the magic finding competition, and I couldn't be bothered to farm the gems again for the upgrade if I could just take one from the stash. It's not like it's a power upgrade or anything, it's pure quality of life for the extra row in the belt. When upgrading said items, do be careful though. This says level requirement 25, but that's wrong, so when upgrading said items always check online first. With normal fully done, it is time to go and respec, because while I haven't mentioned this yet, I'm going to be playing a different version of the Holy Aura Paladin for every difficulty. I decided on fire for normal because it's the earliest one I can get into. However, at level 39 like I am now, the world is my oyster. I end up deciding to go for Holy Shock and Nightmare for two reasons. The first being that I quite recently did a Holy Shock Zealot video, the other being that playing a lightning build through hell is awful. So for my respec I do the exact same build, except now I go into Holy Shock and it's Synergy, resist lightning. Stat wise it's stats for gear, rest into vitality, no big shock there. With my new build setup, let's get into Nightmare. Every difficulty starts off with a resistance check. Ironically, the lightning resist has me worried, but the others are looking good. Gameplay wise, the Holy Shock Paladin is very similar to its fire brethren. A lot of it is just dodging around until things go ahead and die. Nightmare itself is the easier part of a run. Your character is up and running and it's all about getting ready for hell. There is no need to do all the quests or anything, so I just deal with corpse fire to get my skill point before smacking around 3-head woodfist around a bit and saving gain. The ring I get as my reward isn't very good, so back to Akara it goes. In the barracks my past decisions come back to haunt me. I tried to pick up the Heraldric Malus, but I still have the one from normal in my stash because I used it as a weapon all the way back there, making me unable to pick it up. The smith can hit like a truck, so I need to dodge around him to make sure I don't find out exactly how much damage he does while I'm cursed. Survivability is turning out to be quite the issue. Some random skeletons in the jail level 3 managed to snipe off half my life total in a single shot. The health pool takes another dive off a cliff when in the cathedral a group of convicted tainted spews their nonsense my way. I end up dealing with them by luring them out in small groups before just kiting the orbs of the super unique one with the aura while letting the Holy Shock tick down. If I don't want to get deleted from the face of the earth, I need to do something though. Even the smallest groups of tainted are just making my life total bounce around. In the Catacombs level 4 I can just ignore my problems by closing the door on them, a strategy I wish worked in real life as well. The Duriel fight is a matter of spacing out the rejuvenation potions for when things get dicey. Strategy wise it's just the big old left click and pray for the best. She ends up dropping a pair of heavy boots I would normally take over the Haarus boots if I didn't have the attack rating set bonus. However, this is still a themed run, and I actually have the bonus, so I won't take them this time. I am also picking up runes along the way, so now I actually get to make the strength I talked about earlier. The goal here is to trigger Crushing Blow and Holy Shock as much as possible, so I make it in the fastest base I can find, which turns out to be a scimitar. I know the 2 to 8 damage makes you want to cry yourself to sleep at night, but trust me, this weapon will be good. Except for a few close calls, Act 2 didn't have much going on. So a few reminders of just how fragile this character is later, it is time to see the orifice miss the marks completely, before heading into the Duriel fight. Our demonic little bug still hits like a freight train, and my life total goes dangerously low multiple times during the fight while I tank his hits, slurp pots and hope for the best. I'm happy I chose lightning to move through Nightmare, cause there aren't any immunes there. Except for this Cloudstalker over here. One of the big upsides of doing a double set run like this is that I can pretend to be all mysterious and sneaky about what the second set will be, allowing for better storytelling as long as I pretend it wasn't in the thumbnail on screen a few times already and this paladin wasn't named Caesarus. The other big upside is that I don't need to look for rune words, cause the hardest part of that always is finding the mid to high runes, like a co-rune before being able to just finish the run anyway. So of course I end up randomly dropping one in the Flayer jungle, which is an extremely rare occurrence on the run where I don't need one at all. My time in the Flayer jungle allows me to max out lightning resist and has me moving towards the final synergy for the Shock Paladin, Salvation. I'm not going to bother explaining this skill cause I never use it, but it gets me 10% more damage per hard skill point in it, so that's where the next 20 will go. The fight for the git bin was long, thick and veiny, and despite lasting not even 3 seconds as usual, a thing I know nothing about of course, the ring was still not worth it at all. Jamali is earning his paycheck over and over again in the Flayer dungeon as a group of cursed lightning enchanted dolls attacks me from the depths. I decide that this is a great learning moment for Jamali, so I throw him to the dolls, tell him where they shouldn't touch him and keep my distance while they go to town on each other until someone dies. The game casually shows its disdain for me again when it spawns me a lightning immune witch doctor. Now I can just ignore this, because it doesn't have to be my problem, but killing things is really fun. So after grabbing the brain, I give Jamali his second set of instructions on how to deal with monsters I can't be bothered with, and I can't overstate this. He completely nails this. He ends up finding one of the best solo self-found swords in the game, the unique battle sword. Oh, and a leather armor, which is Blinkbat's form, a very low level armor that won't be used. The head striker is another story. 40 to 131 damage is nothing to scoff at, especially when you start thinking about the extra max damage per level and the perfect deadly strike. 69% of the time this weapon deals double the damage every time, cause that is what Deadly Strike does. So a nice chunk of the time this weapon deals 80 to 262 damage. Yes, that is a lot. This weapon is insane. Another fire and lightning immune joins the fray, which is a perfect chance to test out my new striker. For demonstration purposes, I decide to show everyone the chest you don't want to see again in the sewers. Just for scientific purposes, no other reason. Many of my actions in this game are out of spite, like here, where after having to go and spelunk the sewers way more than I'd ever want to, I decide to hunt down Icehawk Riftwing to make sure he regrets my life choices. On level 2, I'm immediately bum rushed by a bunch of champion dolls. It's a good thing that Jamali is here to defend me from the evildoers. Before hitting up the council for some old school flailing around, I hit the ruined temple. After doing this, I saw that I was already well past level 43 and could equip the Sazabi helm. This helm doesn't start out with a socket, but I had one laying around with a socket, so I decided to use that one. The rest of this helm is pretty decent, 1 to all skills, 17 and 19% respectively in the important resists, being lightning and fire. And just to reiterate, the socket isn't normally there. This was just the helm I had laying around. We end up having to split up the council, but once Jamali gets into a nice one-on-one with them, I can just sit back and relax while I make sure that the fire enchanted damage explosion at the end of the Travincolors doesn't take me with them. For once, I'm not being bothered by dolls in the Durance. To celebrate, I destroy some Death Lords. They end up dropping a rare cask. This helm isn't anything too special, but it's better than just putting 2 rubies in a grey skullcap for the mercenary. On level 2, I get in the precarious situation again where I can get one-tapped while being cursed. It definitely wasn't my own fault for clicking the monster shrine. Things just happen, you know? The Mephisto fight is the first fight in a while that wasn't way more dangerous than it's supposed to be. It's nice to have an actual proper going good fight for a change. I don't get why it is though. Paladins always feel like everything should be fine, but they randomly just end up being way squishy and fragile. For Act 4, I'm going to keep things short, cause the footage got corrupted. What happened in this act is that I got a Lum rune from the forge, which allowed me to make a smoke for the 50% to all my resistances. If any act is going to have bad footage, I'm happy it's this one, cause even the original recording was like 15 minutes. Act 4 is always really short, especially in Nightmare, cause you're just already getting ready for hell anyway, so it's more of a checkmark to get done than an actual challenge. After that, I went and killed Diablo. I don't think I've ever died in Act 4 Nightmare since I started the channel, and if there is footage of me doing the deeds in Act 4 Nightmare, the video is lying and it never happened. What did happen was Act 5. On my way up the hill, I run through Shank before it's time for the Eldritch farm, which wastes no time rewarding me for my troubles. On the very first run, I find a Garnet Amulet of Regrowth with 25% fire resist and 6 replenish life. This is a massive upgrade over the 6% lightning resist amulet I was still using. My resists are looking really solid thanks to the Sazabi helm and the smoke, but it's not ready for hell yet, so every upgrade is big game. The next run didn't go anywhere near as good. The skeletal archers even forced me to abandon the run. So to help myself out, I decide to go and visit everyone's favorite NPC, Nihletark, cause it is time to fuel my gambling addiction. First up, I get a 13 resist all amulet, and like I said, every upgrade is big game, so I'll happily equip it. Following that up, I gamble a rare ring with 30 fire and 10 cold resist, which is complemented by a 10 resist all magic ring. All in all, the resistances are looking good. Couldn't be better if I tried. Just as I finished that sentiment, one of the members of the Eldritch Support Memorial drops me a 4 life leech, 8 res all ring. Yeah, that is a better ring. The elemental damage doesn't work with the leech from the Holy Shock skill, but the head striker deals enough physical damage to get the leech going all on its own. A rare war spear drops as well. It has some enhanced damage, cold damage for some minor crowd control and life leech, an excellent mercenary weapon for Jamali. With the grinding done, it's time to move on. I decide to teach the barbarians about the advantages of town portals before making my way through the crystalline passage. In there, I needed to funnel the Death Lords into a smaller area before splitting them up so I could start working my way through them with the help of Jamali. Man, I am so happy that I went with the Lightning Zealot for Nightmare, cause I'm definitely not encountering tons and tons of lightning immunes like souls everywhere. Screw helping Marla after forcing me to pick up the potion back in normal. Godspeed and good luck with that. In the Ancient's way, I decide that running again is better than being dead. So when I'm cursed and see a pile of afflicted and frenzy lords coming my way, I decide that next game is a great place to make my way through the act. Out of the goodness of my heart, and definitely not cause I want the resistance scroll, I decide to check what's up on the way through the crystalline passage. The goings on turn out to be cursed vipers, and because misery loves company, I decide it's not the time, not the place, and that I want to stay another pretty face. So this time I don't come any closer to Anya again, cause I'm no Opheliac. I don't feel tanky enough to deal with the ancients properly, so instead of risking the biscuit, I decide to just run around and let the Holy Shock ping them down. It's a very slow way of doing things, but it's also extremely safe, and with how this run has been going, that is the right choice for sure. The Worldstone Keep starts off so disastrous, we end up retreating back to the mountain summit to get away from all the spearwomen. Having collected myself and not wanting to rerun the act again, I decide to dive back in, which turns out to be a good call when the two of us survive the brawl and get to make our way further into the keep. While I'm very busy counting to 4 and making the bodies hit the floor, a twin axe drops as well. This weapon looks extremely impressive with all the plus to skills, but even on a druid I would take the head striker I have now over this and just get my crushing blow from somewhere else. Along my travels I gain ownership of a rare protector shield, but the only thing I'll use it for is wiping away my tears of sadness as the Haarus shield laughs at me from my equipment slot. Cause if it wasn't very obvious, this thing is way better, and exactly what I meant when I talked about why the set piece being a shield is such a big nerf to its power level. The Worldstone walking tour brings me along some souls to which are usual a sight to see, but thanks to how wide the arenas and paths are here, there is much more space for me to work my way through them one by one. So while I don't know where my soul is, I won't walk away. The Throne of Destruction starts with some dolls jumping me, cause of course it does. It's a good thing Jamali is still going along for the ride. Stuffy dolls that are out to damage me by taking damage are out in force tonight. The portion that doesn't take their problem to the mercenary I end up pinging down by using the Holy Shock aura and hoping that I'm far enough away to survive the ensuing explosions. Axmel the Unraveler manages to get my life total to dip quite low thanks to his absolutely ridiculous, stupid, annoying, way overtuned amount of poison damage, but I'm not dying in the throne room tonight. The Baal fight starts off way closer than I enjoy as well. After regaining my composure, I don't go dangerously low for the rest of the fight. The Dusk Deep with its 15% resist all Baal dropped is a nice Merc helm, so that is exactly what's happening with it. A thing I like to do on these set themed runs is to make sure that I'm wearing every piece before I go into hell, which means that it is time to grind some experience, cause the level requirement for the rest of the Sazabi set is level 73. For a level grind at the end of Nightmare, my personal preference is going into the Terror Zones. Today's special turns out to be the Far Oasis, which I like quite a lot as a zone thanks to the player's 8 terrorized beetles. After a few runs of this, I decide to give the Frozen River another visit, cause while Mala was being a dick, Anya did nothing wrong, also I want my res for hell. With the res finally taken care of, I head back into the Terror Zones, where a gem shrine allows me to give crafting a chance. The gloves make me regret not being an Amazon again, with the +1 to Jav skills, but no use for them on a Paladin. A couple runs later, Beetleburst decides that if I am working towards a set weapon, it's time to make sure that I am drowning in great swords by dropping me another head striker. Gee, thanks. All good things come to an end, like this Terror Zone, cause the hour is up. The next zone is the cow level, but this entire attempt at grinding there for experience is just a showcase of why I spent very little time in the cow level. This is just way too dangerous, so I decide to get out of there. Instead of supplying my local butcher, Pindleskin is looking mighty fine for the final few levels this time of year. I hang out in the temple until I hit level 73, at which point it is time to reveal my final form, waving goodbye to the Holy Shock version of the Zealot Paladin. But when one story ends, another always starts, so to combat the heat of hell it is time to make all of it a frozen waste by becoming a Holy Freeze Zealer. The build is the same again for the most part, Zeal to make sure I can deal 5 hits, Holy Freeze and its synergies resist cold and Salvation to max out the damage. The rest of the points go into Holy Shield for some extra defense to pair with the aura to make survival almost guaranteed. Because I want someone to at least use the 2 head strikers I found, I decide to hire Weather the Frenzy Barbarian. I thought about giving him the full Sazabi set as well, but he doesn't need to suffer for my bad life decisions. Next thing I've got to do before diving into hell is to actually explain what the Sazabi set does. The set consists of Sazabi's Cobalt Redeemer, which is a cryptic sword that has very inconsistent damage, 12 to 192 averages to 102. But hitting for the M-mine or the max is so much of a difference that it makes the sword quite inconsistent. Having a range of damage on a weapon isn't a problem, but when the difference is 19 times the damage it's a bit much. For the rest of the weapon, it has the nice quality of life indestructible mod, making it so you don't have to repair every 3 seconds, 40% increased attack speed for the super fast dealing of death, 318% damage to demons, proving that Sazabi is crazy racist to demons. There's also a bit of cold damage for some crowd control. It rounds out with a bit of stats. The socket is just cause that is what I had laying around. The armor is the set Balrog skin Sazabi's Ghost Liberator. If only this could have liberated StarCraft Ghost. But I digress. This armor has some more casual racism to demons, 1 life added too few and nothing else that matters. Honestly, considering this is a set Balrog skin, this thing is pretty damn trash. Also the socket is because that is what I had ready on the mules. I already talked about the helm, so I'm just going to move things along towards the set bonuses. They consist of quite a nice bunch of safety based affixes, +1 to skills, 40 faster run walk, 15 life leech, which is why it's such a big problem that the damage is so all over the place. Draining 15% of 12 is just a little less strong than draining 15% of 192. Next up is a very rare mod in 27% maximum life increased. The 27% feels very random, I don't know how they came up with that, but it's still just an absolute fuck ton of life. There's a very nice 30% resist all which is complemented with 16% physical damage reduction, and the nice little cherry on top is 75% poison length reduction. I mean, you can just drink antidotes, but it's still nice to have. With my Haarus and Sazabi sets fully equipped, it's time to reap the rewards of questing. So I spend my 2 Imbue quest rewards, and while I get some okay-ish gloves, they don't come close to the pair I'm wearing. Once in hell, it's time to check how thick my skin actually is. It turns out that my resistances can use some help. To start them out, I decide to make a perfect diamond and put it in the Haarus shield for its 19 resist all. The helm I fill right up with an Ord rune for 30% lightning resist. The sword gets a shale rune for some more increased attack speed. I can't stand looking at the 68 life on the armor, so I put a perfect ruby in it, so it at least doesn't look like it tried so hard and didn't get very far. All in all, things don't look half bad starting out in hell. There is a problem though. Remember how I said earlier that there were 3 files that were corrupted? Yeah, Act 1 hell was the 3rd one. I went back in for story purposes with the hero edited level 75 Paladin, cause I'm just not playing at 100% while trying to redo some footage. I don't know how to say it, but it's just not the same to do it like this. And to my surprise and a small chuckle, I end up dying to corpse fire. But as we all know, that death never happened, and if it did, it was for entertainment purposes. The rest of the act was just business as usual. I killed 3-head Woodfist, went for a romantic walk in Tristram, received a crappy ring, I mean it wasn't this one exactly, but it was still pretty crappy, and I went and said hello to Duriel without too many problems. With that, we find ourselves in Act 2, and the best news is that from here on out all of the footage worked and it's all just normal footage from the actual run. Act 2 starts off with finding the only cold immune in the desert, just after I switched to my frost build, because the game loves you and such. In the far oasis, I end up finding a magic amulet that turns out to have +3 to offensive auras. This turns out to improve my damage by almost 20%, and the resistances still look acceptable, so I decided to go with it. Beetle Burst ends up being quite the fight. With him being cold immune and the Sazabi sword being so unreliable for damage, I drop to below half health even though I should have the advantage in the Holy Freeze mirror. I don't believe I've talked about the Maggot Lair yet, and for good reason. On Normal and Nightmare the Holy Auras made short work of it. Hell is a different story though, and honestly not a good one. Holy Freeze isn't doing bad at all, but it's just so tedious to go through every single enemy all the time while working your way through. I was never in any real danger here, but getting through just took long enough that it might have been faster to just learn how to make a Horadric staff myself. In here I also found a +3 offensive aura coronet. I would obviously take this over the Sazabi helm if I could, but them's the breaks. At the end of the tunnel is the Cold Worm, who is always cold immune, which makes kinda sense if you think about it because it probably isn't too warm underground. Act 2 just isn't this paladin's favorite place to hang out. The salamanders are all cold immune, forcing me to just get my nose to the grindstone and get started on just dealing with all the problems head on. And boy, there are a lot of them. Piles of cold reptilian bodies ready to hit the floor are congregating at random doorposts all throughout the temple, ending up in me having to just deal with a few and working my way back until the potions have done their thing so I can run back in and do it again and again and again. Seethe Heart is a special case. Cold immune and stone skin together make for a very bad and kinda bland time. Just standing there hacking away until eternity opens. Or you can just walk away from your problem like I did here. Being cursed on level 2 makes it way too risky to deal with the vipers down there. So instead of getting through them, I have to kite around and survive my way to their amulet. Not even the gem shrine feels worth it, cause I'm pretty sure this guys can just one-shot me without too many problems. So even that gets left behind. On the harem level 2, a skeletal archer drops a small charm. This turns out to have 100 poison damage, which thanks to the fights taking pretty long anyway is a very solid boost to my damage, cause it can just tick along while I'm chipping away at the enemies. The Arcane Sanctuary wasn't too bad at all. The ghosts have cold resist and are physical immune, but it's nothing too bad. The goats have a lot of damage with the fanaticism going, but they aren't immune to anything I do. Ghoul Lords are the bad part of this. They aren't very dangerous or anything cause my fire resistance is still at max, but they just end up taking forever cause they have high physical resist and are cold immune. The only thing I could hope for is that I don't encounter a lot of them, so obviously I encounter 2 packs of champions together, followed up by a super unique version of them that's also cold immune. Yes game, I love you too. All in all, I'm just happy that I did get the first way on this, cause even that took like 30 minutes to get through the single path. My patience has grown thin in the Tal Rasha's tomb, so instead of working my way through yet another endless entourage of monsters, I run through the zone to see as much of the map as I can before getting stuck and town portaling out. Mr. Holy Freeze Zealot over here thoroughly enjoys getting lost every chance he gets, so this needs to get repeated a bunch of times before finding my way to Duriel. Just like the other difficulties, the Duriel fight is all about knowing when to drink a rejuvenation pot and acknowledging your risk-reward spectrum to see how low it can go before losing the run. The fight itself isn't too bad, he still just hits like a truck, so survival is the hard part. But on a technical spectrum, it's not a very complicated fight. The entire thing is a lot like getting punched in the face, it's not hard to get done, but you'll definitely know it happened. The spider cavern is quite terrifying thanks to Sark the Burning, as he is always cursed and extra strong. He probably wouldn't even need the latter to one-shot me at this point. Paladins just get so frail, not sorceress levels of paper thin survival instincts, but not too far off. Getting told by the game once again that I'm using the wrong class for this challenge. A unique pair of greater talents ends up happening. These are Bartok's Cutthroat. With their +2 skills, pile of damage, attack rating, life leech and stats, these are amazing. But they are very much assassin only, so like all the other good stuff this run, I can't use it. One thing I'm very happy about though is not being a lightning build in hell. I shortly mentioned earlier that it's awful to do, and now I can show why. The entirety of Act 3 is just nothing but lightning immunes. Yep, definitely no cold immunes here. Man, I should do a tri-elemental build at some point. Maybe go Hydra, Glacial Spike Nova Sorceress, or maybe even a 4 elements hybrid zone with the cold and fire arrows combined with poison jabs and charged strike. Both of those sound pretty sweet. One thing that surprised me is that I was missing a lot of my attacks. I figured that between the added attack rating from the Haarus combo and the Sazabi attack rating bonus, my chance to hit would not be a problem. But it turns out that it's still at only 48%. Kind of sad considering I'm devoting multiple gear slots to it. The Haarus boots even grant me over half of it all on their own, but it's just not enough. To fix this, I decide to go and small talk with Akara. Stat-wise, I went a bit higher on dexterity, going all the way up to 110 base for just a smidge more of it. Skill wise, I moved the points I had in Holy Shield to Zeal for the 10% attack rating per level on it. The rest of the build stayed the same, just Holy Freeze and its synergies. The new setup gets my attack rating to 3900, which while still not very high, is at least double what I had. For people that do more than just play Diablo 2 all day every day. The number you're aiming for is 10k as a baseline. While I'm at it, I figured I might as well clear Radamant. He ends up dropping a Book of Skill and a rare jewelry set. The amulet has 12 resist all and a bunch of attack rating for the things that matter to us. Survivability and hitting things have both been problems, so even though it cost me my nice Holy Freeze damage, I make the switch. The ring is nothing special, but I figured I might as well show it. During the fight towards the Gid bin, things get dicey. I'm sure walking around cursed all the time is going to bite me in the ass sometime, but I checked my watch and it's not that time yet. Getting the Gid bin itself wasn't much of a fight. Just walk up and slice the monster a couple of times until bang and the problem's gone. The ring almost rewards me with is about as good as the fight was hard. The Flayer jungle reminds me that they are Weather Dar, as he tanks the dolls for me, cause at this point I'm not getting close to those at all ever. In the ruined temple everything is cold immune, so I have the options I always have, running around and hoping for the best until I kite myself towards the 5 stat points that are the quest's only goal. I mean, there is story and all, but who cares about that? Just give me stat points. Oh, the other option was clearing them all out very slow and tediously, but that is boring. Turns out that having an awful sewers map isn't mandatory at all on this run. My hell map turns out to be pretty good, a very welcome change of pace. I did make sure to show the bats my appreciation for their cause along the way. I get one of the best council fights I ever got thanks to a fire shrine that spawned right before where they come out. Fire shrines deal 50% damage to everything near them, so I run in, click the shrine and follow it up by drinking a full rejuvenation and giving Redder one as well. The move pays off and the rest of the battle is cut in half and proceeds perfectly like planned. What doesn't do that is the Durance of Hate. It's always 5 o'clock and time for a doll somewhere. Thanks to the Sazabi's physical damage reduction, I turn out to be able to tank them pretty well. Good thing too, cause it would look really bad if I was like, here I can tank one and then died on the spot. Wouldn't want to get one shot doing something stupid now, would we? I don't know why, but the chill from the Holy Freeze aura just doesn't seem to work on them, so the rest of the Durance is spent fearing for my life while I run away from everything that tries to do anything funny. Level 2 is more of the same, with a polonaise of pure terror making its way through the dark halls while working my way from level 1 to 3. I decided to skip the waypoint, cause there is no reason for me to farm Mephisto on this build anyway. Instead, I just make the straight way through to get out of there as fast as humanly possible. The Mephisto fight wasn't bad at all. We've definitely reached the point of the run where the boss fights are kind of irrelevant check marks on the way towards the next item. In Act 4, cold immunes can spawn everywhere, but I didn't encounter any of them, so I just get to make my way through a bunch of fancy looking Venom Lords on my way to Isual. The Isual fight itself isn't a big deal. He has infinity +1 for a life total, but doesn't deal a lot of damage, so it's another long fight, but not a challenging one. In the River of Flame I decided that fighting Mephisto while being surrounded by all sorts of bullshit is a bad idea. Cause he's the polar opposite of his upstairs neighbor back in the Plains of Despair. He doesn't have a ton of life, but hits crazy hard. I kited Mephisto all the way back to the waypoint so I can have a safe fight, while back in Nightmare I managed to dodge the Smith while cursed. The same however can't be said for Mephisto. He takes his swing and it's a critical hit, just a full blown one tap straight out of the Game of Life. I thought I could easily tank at least one hit, guess I couldn't. I'm kind of annoyed this is how it ended, but these kind of things just happen in this game. Sometimes you do everything right and still lose. Oh well, nothing to do about it. A big thank you to the channel members and Patreons, and thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.